All right, everybody, welcome back. Today is a different type of podcast. I'm with Mo and Adam, who you've all seen on here, and we've heard from them. But this is going to be a tribute to Lucy Macaluso, and I'm excited about it. I'm a little nervous just because I know it's emotional. Maybe more, not to make it more for me than Adam, but the first time Adam and I talked about his daughter, we were actually supposed to be training, and I was like, dude, I don't even know if I could train anymore. Do you want to go get a drink? It was like 8 in the morning.
Yeah,
it hit me.
We were at Firearms down at Fletsy, and I think you knew about it, but because I told you before, because I remember
the depth.
Yeah, because you were like, oh, you got kids. I'm like, oh, well, I mean, we had one, and so.
Yes, that's kind of how it started, and then I am who I am, and I ask all the wrong questions and put my foot in my mouth.
No,
But Adam, you were very generous.
No,
I'll tell you how I felt.
Yeah, okay. Well, Mo and the Street Tales audience, Tyler never put his foot in his mouth. He never said anything inappropriate. He was respectful. He was nice. And, part of the reason of doing this is I like talking about it. And it's like, I understand like other people that have lost their kid or like a family member don't want to talk about it. Sometimes my wife and I, like more me, I love talking about her and telling the story. And it doesn't, offend me. Or like if people are like, oh, because I feel bad when I like people are like, oh, do you have kids? I'm like, well, my wife, we did, our daughter died from cancer 2.5 years ago, blah, blah. And then people are like,
that was me. Like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Yeah. No. But I will say this. I understand both sides. I really do. I can understand the concept of both sides because one, it's something I can't put myself in that role. I don't even know how I would cope. But on the other side, it's like, that was your daughter, you know what I mean? So she doesn't stop being your daughter. So I understand both sides, I guess is my point.
$11,000 cat may want to make an appearance. He's sitting down.
Let him.
We're going to touch on the $11,000 cat too.
We are.
He's into it. So, all right,
Before
here we go.
Before we completely jump into Lucy's story, there were some things that you guys both just hit on, and I want to ask you, Adam. Tyler said, I asked all the wrong questions, and you said, sometimes I'll feel bad. One, are there wrong questions when people are talking to you about Lucy?
No, I don't think I've ever had anybody, no, I don't think anybody's ever asked the wrong question. Like some people are like, I had it's funny because, some people just didn't really, not in a rude way, didn't talk to us anymore or were nervous. But I remember my buddy, one of my good buddies, went to kindergarten with him. He's a firefighter up here. He's a great guy. I've been friends with him for 40 something years. And he was like, he's like, I didn't know what to say when everything was going on. I said, dude, he's like, I'm so sorry. I go, don't apologize. I said, it's not a natural act, someone losing their kid, especially a young kid, losing a parent, it sucks, but it's kind of natural. You kind of expect it. Maybe a sibling getting into an accident and dying a little bit, it's not natural per se, but it's more natural. But losing your kid, especially a young, 9, what Lucy was, it's not natural. It doesn't really, you're not expecting it to happen. So there's really I was never offended by people asking. I liked when people ask, and I had buddies from the Marine Corps or buddies that were other buddies be like, how you doing? And they would be then they'd be before I could answer, they'd be like, I know it sucks. I'm like, no, dude, I appreciate you asking. I mean, it's instead of some people are being like, oh, look, there's Adam. I'm going to go the other way, not talk to him. Or there's Jimmy. Yeah. Let's not talk to them. And that was hurtful more than people not saying so, how you doing, So.
And that leads me to what you said. Sometimes when people will say, do you have kids? And you'll say, well, I felt bad because I know I'm going to tell them something that makes them feel bad. Why do you have that feeling when you're sharing that information?
I don't know. I mean, it's just I feel I'm going to put them because they were being nice, making conversation. And then they're kind of it's in the room, it's they're the fun governor comes and the party gets broken up. You're like, oh, yeah. Sure. Some guys and gals, some people are really they don't mind talking about it. Some people you can tell are uncomfortable talking about, which is understandable. I'm not going to hold it against them. Why would I get mad at someone? Someone's asked, oh, do you have kids? I'm like, nah, we lost our daughter 2.5 years ago when she was 9 to cancer. And some people are like, wow. It's I think back, I'm 51 now. And I think back if like that was me in my 40s or my 30s, I'd be like, yeah, I gotta go. I think there's a bar open somewhere or something like that.
Right.
Like it'd be something weird.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I didn't
Let's
want
get
to.
into it.
I want to
No,
get
go ahead.
into it, but I wanted to get clarity on those two things because I think
Yeah,
a lot of
no,
times, like you said, people don't know what to say, and so they do avoid you, and they don't realize that that could be much more hurtful than just sometimes just sitting in it with the person.
Yeah.
You know.
That's I would say that's like the most hurtful. He's around here. He's playing with a spring now, the cat. That's the most hurtful thing. Like when we get later into it, I'll tell you about more hurtful things. But like,
Got
just
it.
not like purposely hurtful.
Right.
Yeah.
I get it.
But like, people, it's like hurtful, but it's not like they're doing it to like, I'm just going to say, Tyler, just you. I'm using you.
Yeah,
But nothing. But Tyler's like, well, I'm not going to talk about my kids or ask Adam any questions or anything about kids or anything like that. Like that's be like, okay, dude, it's like, I'm not a leper. I'm still human.
Yeah.
Got it.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. Well, let's start because I like the way you talk. We have talked through this a few times piecemeal, and I'm excited to do this all kind of in one go. But could you talk through the thought process between you and your wife on when you decided to have children and how that all kind of came to be? You said it started around 2011 because you were.
Yeah. It was like, so at the point like 2011 timeframe, so I was going back with the reserves with the Marine Corps. That's the washing machine. I was just running a cleaning cycle because that's my, So, Jamie always said like she wanted to have kids and be a mom and everything. And I was always like, I don't know. Like I was immature. I wasn't sure like I could handle it and stuff. And I was like, and I was 2011, I was 37. And, Jamie was like, really want to, start working on having kids. I'm like, okay, like, let's wait till I get back from Afghanistan. I thought I could, like, she's like, yeah, okay, understandable. But like, I'm not sure because like, I'm 37 and, I'm worried that like, maybe I have a low sperm count or something. So I actually, before I went to active and then deployed, I went to the fertility doctor, and I'm not lying. His name was Dr. Seaman. Yeah, I'm not joking.
Kind of fell into that position.
So, I had to do the test and everything. And he's like, yeah, your count's low and everything. But he goes, we'll take care of it when you come back from Afghanistan. So like a year later, like at 38, it's 2012. I'm still nervous, like, because I'm going to say something next after this. But like, go to the doctor and, I have to, he's like, oh, I need a sample. I'm like right here, right now. He's like, yeah, there's a room for you and everything. I'm like, okay. So I go in this room and I'm expecting like some porno mags and stuff like that. There's nothing. Okay. And the door is a paper thin door. What I always like pointing out is because I just got an iPhone. So thank God with the iPhone, I was able to pull up some
materials
and do it. But the problem is like I'm doing it in this office. Okay. And I can hear a drug rep outside talking because the door was literally paper mache almost. Like, and I remember he was a little bit on the flamboyant side. I'm like, all right, dude, come on, shut up. You're killing the mood here right now for me. All right. So, okay. So
I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh. This is so good.
I know. So I do it. And, I talked with Dr. Seaman. He's like, you good? You guys just need to try. So it was cool because I got home from deployment. And so we started trying. It was great because I didn't have to wear protection and I didn't have to, use the old spray and pray method. So we're working on it. But I was like, I was getting stressed out because, we really only tried for like a couple months and then it happened. But I remember like one time talking with Jamie and she's like, I'm nervous to have a kid. And I remember saying to her, I go, what if she has cancer and dies? Fuck yeah, I know. I swear to God, I said that. I swear to God. So so we're doing it and it's the summer of 2012 and Jamie's not feeling good for the summer. And I'm like, my dad was still practicing medicine. So I'm like, call my dad, go to the office and see. So she goes and my dad calls me and Jamie calls me. She's like, yeah, I'm pregnant. I'm like, what? This was like August. She'd been pregnant for like maybe a month and a half or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So the pregnancy set the stage for how Lucy was because Jamie was miserable during the pregnancy. And you have to remember, my wife's 5'10". At the time, she was like 105 pounds, maybe 110. gained like 30 or 40 pounds. She was like, had no energy and everything. And I was a decent husband, but like still I was like, hey, what's for dinner? I don't like cooking. I don't mind cleaning. I don't mind anything else, but I hate cooking. She was still having to cook. I'm not going to, but I was a jerk with that. I'm not going to lie.
Definitely a jerk for that.
Yeah. So, I was really nervous, and so she was, and, and then, so it was funny because Jamie had a C-section, and because the OB that we went to was this awesome Iranian lady. And it was funny because, Jamie's small, she's 5 feet, she has size 5. She just bought shoes the other day. She had to get kids' shoes off of Amazon for her to wear. Okay. So the doctor was like, yeah, you're going to need a C-section because I don't think your hips are going to open up enough for, to do a natural birth. So we scheduled the C-section. So we go there that day, and the nurses are kind of like, oh, why are you having a C-section and everything? Like some women, Mo, you probably know this better. Some women have a C-section because they don't want to do a natural birth and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So people are like kind of giving us like Jamie more the third degree. And I remember, so it's time we go in there, we go in the room, and, they have the thing up and everything like that. And some of the people were giving the doctor shit about it. And she cuts her open and everything. And I remember the doctor was vindicated. She goes, see, this is why we do it, because Lucy never dropped. So, she never dropped. So we got her out, and I remember, so we had the name Lucy already picked out, and we had this anesthesiologist, and he was fucking awesome. He was like just this all around nice guy. I think it was Dr. Silverstein. I think it was, I forgot. And he's like, oh, do you have a name? And we're like, oh, Lucy. He goes, oh, hold on a minute. He starts playing the Beatles, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. So literally, she gets born, and, it's, Jamie had the C-section. She was miserable with that, with any woman that's had one. And I don't know, Mo, if you did or not, but it sucks.
They're awful though.
Yeah. It's painful. It's like, it's hard.
You're getting cut in half. So I can only imagine.
Yeah. they pick up the organs and they put them out. And they like, the guy's like, do you want the anesthesia? He's like, you were in Iraq. You saw, I'm like, yeah, nah.
I'm good.
Shit.
Different.
Yeah, it wasn't
different.
my wife, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, different.
So it's like, your whole world changes. Like you guys know, you have kids, and it's like you're like, holy shit. And so, we go, and so we're leaving. We had to stay like 3 or 4 days in the hospital, which is normal for a C-section. And I remember Jamie's staying in the lobby with Lucy and the thing. She's like 3 or 4 days old. I went to go get the car, and Jamie gets she's like, why are you leaving me? I'm like, I got to get the car so we can go home. And then we get the car, we go home, and Jamie's like, and she says to me, she's like, I can't believe that these people are letting us leave with another human. I'm like, well, yeah, she's kind of our kid, so we got to start doing stuff with her.
It's your
like,
problem.
I don't know what to do. And I go, you think I fucking know what to do? Like, So, she was an amazing kid. She never really got sick. She was like she was like her dad, like a strong, and her mom, like a strong personality. We were lucky. We went to a daycare literally 2 blocks from our house because Jamie went back to work after like 5 months. We started Lucy at daycare, and it sucks, okay. But the place was awesome. I still talk to them to this day. It's run by an Israeli lady, but she took anybody, and they were just awesome. They just loved her. They were like, we're having trouble with, with the bottle, and Iris's mother, Manya, she's like, and she's from the Netherlands. She's like, oh, don't worry. We take care of it. Don't, and it's like, she sends us a picture the first day. She's got her, there with the bottle and everything. We're like, perfect. And they were very like, and they were always like, we don't babysit, we don't like, I'm not like, Iris was like, we don't take kids home to babysit them and stuff like that. But like, I don't know, we just clicked with them. Like they really loved Lucy, but she was like always smiling, just running around. And I remember she had to be like 2 or 3 years old at this time. And our neighbor Liz we asked our neighbor Liz I think I was working, I was the detective at the time, and Jamie was working, and I think she had like back to school night or something. I don't remember. And I think I had to work, like I was on call, so I had to work like a mid shift or something. And we're like, our neighbor Liz is going to come get her. She's like, okay, send us her license and everything like that. She was like, it was like, you would think like Iris was like in the Mossad or Shin Bet or something like that for the security. So like Liz gets there, and she tells us and everything. She's like, yeah, I went there and they questioned me, and I didn't think they were going to let me take Lucy home and everything like that. So the next day I go to pick up Lucy, or And Manya's like, why did your neighbor, but she has this accent. She's like, why did your neighbor come? I'm like, Manya, what are you talking about? She's like, we would have taken her home. We would have watched her. Don't worry about it. I'm like, I thought you said, no. We love Lucy. She can come home with us and everything like that. So that set the tone.
Adam, I want to touch on this because it was something we talked. I don't know the time frame, but you said that you had this desire to go back overseas, and you had either just come out of the Department of State. There was a transition period for you where you were like, I want to be home with my family.
Yeah.
When was that time frame?
So I did the 3 years with state, and I was out in New York, and then I went to Iraq a bunch of times. If I could have stayed in New York, I would have stayed with state. I would have went overseas from there and then just came home. I didn't want to have to bounce around. And, and it was also unfair because Jamie was, I met her on active duty down in Virginia, and then I get us thrown to the New York field office. She'd been a teacher already 6 years down there. So at the time when we moved up here in 2006, it was hard as hell to get a teaching job in New Jersey. Oh. Now, if you have a pulse, they're like, okay, you can teach. But back then, it was hard as hell. And she got in a really good school district. She really liked the principal. She loved it. And she's like, I'll stay. But, she's like, I'll stay in the State Department. But, I'd rather not travel the world, but I will. And then I was like, I don't fucking really want to do this. I want to go overseas and come home, but I want to come back to the same house. I don't want to go overseas and then 3 weeks later, I got to move to the Sudan and then go back and then come back after 2 years and then I got to go to Moscow now and shit like that or something. I just wanted to go overseas and then come home back to the same house.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how it is at Department of State, Mo. They make you move every year, 2 years, whatever. I never worked there, but I know they talk about it a lot. It's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy town.
It's wild.
Yeah.
I mean,
so you said you were a detective. Was that a decision you made prior to Lucy being born or after she was born? That move to local PD?
Right. So I always wanted to be a detective. I didn't like patrol. I didn't like working nights. I'm not going to lie.
No.
It's like, and you someone gets donuts on their front lawn and they're like, oh, can you look into this? I'm like, yeah, I got fucking 4 other reports I got to type up I got to go to a CPR in progress right now. I'll see, that's how people don't get that. And you guys know that you're both cops. You know exactly how it is. So I wanted to be a detective and I lucked out. I got it. So Lucy was born in April 2013. So I did about a year on patrol while she was and that kind of, that was rough because I only took 2 weeks off when we had Lucy. And then I went back to work and I was working nights and stuff. And, and it was tough because I remember 1 October I worked. It was October 2013. I was working nights, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night. It was the 3-night weekend on the schedule. And Jamie texts me on Friday. She's like, I can't get Lucy to sleep. I'm like, all right, well, there's enough guys here. I'll take a vacation day so I can come home. So I came home that night, put her to sleep. Next night, and it was funny because this was actually the the first IA complaint I ever got was a Saturday night. I told the guy to move out of a fire zone. He was parked in a fire zone. And I don't know how you guys do it down there, but up here, someone's in a fire zone at night, I would put the spotlight on him, hit the air horn, and I would go like that, move. Yeah. Guy starts fucking yelling at me. And he starts his car. He's parked. I pulled him over then after that. And my fucking mic didn't turn on. The camera in the car turned on, but the mic didn't turn on. And I'm like, sir, what's your problem? He's like, you could show me some courtesy and stuff like that. I'm like, I just didn't write you a ticket. He's like, well, the way you told me to move, I'm like, the courtesy I showed you is not writing a ticket. I should have written him a ticket, but the mic didn't go on. So then it would have been, and I'm like, this guy's going to come in. And he did. He came in the next night. But Jamie texted me, that was at 8:30 at night or something. She texted me 8:45, 9 o'clock. She's like, I can't get Lucy to go to sleep. I'm like, all right, there's the shift's full. I can bang out again. I can take a vacation or holiday, whatever. Came home and I remember I always gave her shit for this one. She's, poor Jamie was exhausted and stuff like that. Mo, you were mom, you know how it is. And I don't know if Jamie breastfed and stuff like that. I don't think she was breastfeeding. Yeah, she was still breastfeeding at this time. Yeah.
That's another job.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Whole other thing. Yep.
And I remember Lucy was in her crib crying. I picked her up, put her on my shoulder. She's 6 months old at this point. I literally come out of her room and I take 2 steps on the thing and she's out like a light. When you can tell when your kid goes to sleep on you, they're like, put her in there, and I go, Jamie, I am the master. She,
Not the time. Not the time.
I'm the same way.
Yeah, no, it didn't. And then we watched TV for like 15 minutes, and she's like, I'm like, I'm going to bed because I hated fucking nights because I still had to work Sunday night. So
yeah.
So I remember. So the next night, that guy came in. I'm like, to the sergeant, I'm like, V, you got to, he's like, let's see what this guy wants. I'm like, this guy's going to make a complaint against me. He's like, what are you talking about? And I don't even know if the guy remembered me. Like, so he's like, yeah, I'd like to speak to the supervisor, please. And then like an hour later after V did it and everything, he's like, yeah, that guy made a complaint. I'm like, I fucking told you. He wanted to make a complaint because I told him to move from he was parked in a fire zone.
Yeah.
And shit. So, went through the whole rigmarole with the IA. And I remember my lieutenant, who's now the chief, he's retired. When the guy's in there, he's like, so the officer, did he write you a ticket? No. He goes, and he's like, so why are you here complaining? He goes, well, the way he told me to move from the fire zone, he goes, but the officer didn't write you a ticket. He's like, I didn't like how he told me to move. I'm like, what the fuck, bro? But
yeah, you can't please everybody.
Yeah. So, she never really got sick. She ate, she slept. I'm a big wuss. I'm not going to lie. We didn't let her cry it out. I remember the first time that she slept through the night. I think it was December. I think it was either the 16th or the 15th. It was right around my birthday. I was in firearms instructor course for the state, not the one, Tyler, you and I went to. And I remember, I'm like, I can't do this anymore, Jamie. So I just put her in the crib and we let her cry for like 30 or 40 minutes.
It's rough.
And then never had a problem sleeping after that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Every night, put her in the bed, put her in the crib, out like a fucking light for 8 hours or not, or whatever. But before that, I remember, so like Jamie was like, we used to get her, like, she used to wake up like 11 or 12 or 1 and she'd want a bottle. When Jamie was weaning her off breastfeeding. And I remember, and this is part of me being the wuss, like I would like go get the bottle for Jamie. I would bring Lucy to her, go get the bottle and stuff like that. And then I would put her back in the crib, or Jamie would try, and like, she would never want to like go back. Like, she'd be like, so I started taking her and going into the second bedroom. And this is part of the reason that I sleep in the second bed now, partially because Jamie gets mad when I say this, but like, because I snore and she used to whack me. So now I just sleep in the second bed. But like, I would just lay there with Lucy and Lucy would go right to sleep. So pretty much her whole life, Lucy slept in the bed with me at times. Because I'll go into this more like when she got sick. So that was it. And then like, I would try and put her to bed when she was young, and I would have to sit there in the and put her in, and she'd still be like this, and I'd have to do it and stuff like that. And Lucy knew how to play both of us. Like, I had to give her, like, Jamie would give her baths, but like, there became a time, I don't remember, when I had to be in the bath with her for years. She wouldn't take a bath unless I had to go in there. And listen, I was in the bath with her up until she died on a Sunday. I was in the bath with her. I took a bath with her on Thursday. She was 9. I know it's not normal.
It's your kid, man.
Yeah, it's my kid. She's 9 and she wanted to be there. So, I remember like telling like the doctors, and they're like, yeah, it's probably not normal, but like, what's going on? It's fine. It's completely fine. So like, I would be in the bath
it's
with
your
her.
kid.
Yeah, I would have to spend like half an hour in the tub with her, and then I would get out and she would play for another 20 minutes. Like, our water bills back then were like so much.
But what I'm loving is, keep in mind, Adam is combat veteran,
yes,
war, Department of State, traveling, detective.
Dad that bathes in the tub
didn't
with his
know
baby
that he wanted to be a dad.
There.
Yeah, didn't know that he wanted to be a dad. I don't know. And he's a big old softy, and I love it.
It's awesome.
Yeah. The funny thing is, guys used to make fun of me at work because I never I would wear like khakis and a plaid shirt. I didn't get dressed up. I wore like kind of like hiking apparel. And I remember one guy's like, oh, you're dressed like a dad. And the other guy, Casey's like, well, he is a dad. And guys would be like, oh, you're dressing like a dork and stuff at work and stuff. I'm like, and then like, I never said I was the best cop at all. Okay. I was decent. But I'm like, and guys would be like, oh, this, and I'm like, I would be like, bro, you're a fucking moron. You left a laptop on the car and drove off and it broke. I mean, you're making fun of me of what I'm wearing, and you're a fucking idiot. You can't even do an accident report. Like, if you're going to make fun of somebody, like have some skills to make it up. Yeah. And I remember like guys would bust me and at the PD be like, because I don't like sports. I sucked at them. I admit it. but I was never, they're like, oh, you're a real man. I'm like, and I remember saying to a guy one time, like, how many motherfuckers did you kill? Like,
see, Adam's got the coup de grace. Well, Adam, I'll give you one better. I played sports, D1 college, and people talking about it now. I'm like, yeah, I don't really watch. They're like, they're like, you don't care. I was like, it was fun, but no.
You're like, I did it, bro.
I got other things, dude.
Yeah.
But it'll blow people's minds.
And
so it doesn't
then I
matter,
watch
bro.
football every Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
Yes. So
But, like,
either way.
But guys would like I never, I'm like, yeah, I rather spend time with my wife and daughter.
Yeah.
And, you know, and
Nothing wrong
I
with
remember, like, I don't have a big house or anything, but I always had a landscaper because I was in the reserves at the time. And part of it was like, especially when I was a detective, because I wanted to spend time with like Lucy and Jamie, like when I was done. And I remember this one time, it was a Friday, it was a summer 14. Lucy was, you know, a little over a year. She was walking. And I was working like the 8 to 4 shift at the time. And I was one of the evidence guys. And this lady, I don't know if it was her kid or her son, he lost his phone and we had it. It was in evidence and it was 3:45. And the lady's like, oh, I'm like, well, you know, ma'am, I can stay here to 4:15 to sign it out for you. She's like, oh, no, I can't get there to 6. I'm like, I'm sorry. She's like, you can't come back to work. I'm like, no. I'm like, I can come.
Oh.
Wait, hold on. I can come first thing on Saturday really quick at 8 o'clock, right? No, I can't. And this and that. She's like, you just can't stay. I'm like, and she was like giving me shit. Yeah. And I'm like, no, I go, no, I got a wife and daughter at home. I want to go see. I go, it's not my fault. Your son lost his phone, you know?
Yeah.
And this goes back to Tyler. I say like every podcast, suburban white women, the bane of my existence when I was a cop, biggest complainers in the world. And I would like to point out that one of my other buddies who's I deployed with the Central Mario is a grunt, and he's a cop out in San Jose. And he's a Japanese guy. And the best is the first time I said that, he texted me, he goes, every civil servant, that's the bane of their existence. Suburban white women. It really is, you know?
Yeah,
Adam, you kill me.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, she thought she was like fucking specially in time. I'm like, no, like, dude.
Yeah.
I said, I'm already going to stay like 15 minutes. Like, I want to go. I'm not getting paid. You know, I want to go
15 minutes.
You know? Well, you guys, how many times do you guys remember from being a cop when you would do it in like, hey, I need to get a statement and this and that. And they're like, oh, I can't go. And then they would call and make a complaint like a week later because they're like, oh, Mo or Tyler's not doing anything. Like, motherfucker, I asked you to I need a statement. Do you know how an investigation works? So I know what we're going off of, like, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Adam, you're better than me because I was like, if you ain't here 15 minutes before I clock out, because I have a routine, you know, I'm out. And I will be back in 2-3 days or whatever my shift says, but no.
Yeah. Oh, I had that one time. I remember some old guy was like, oh, I was trying to, like, Jamie was pregnant at the time. And it was like 2012. And he's like, oh, I've been trying to see you, but you've been on vacation and everything. I'm like, I'm sorry. He's like, oh, you're always on vacation. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, sir. I went to Afghanistan last year and into this year, and I just got back. And this is the first time to Manpower that I'm allowed to take time off. I'm sorry that I wanted to like take some vacation, you know, because I didn't get any time off in the summer. And I remember my buddy, Tommy, who's like one of my best buddies, was new. And they were like, well, you know, we can make Tommy rescind his time and you can take his time. I'm like, well, I'm not a dick like that. Some guys would do that. But like, so I had like a lot of the fall and the early winter off. But I remember that old guys, I'm like, oh, I'm sorry that I like, you know, I'm getting in a tangent about fucking cops.
I know you're getting upset. I love it. Well, let's Mo, bring us back.
Yes.
Okay.
So you were saying that Lucy was always just a fairly easy kid.
Oh, she was an absolute terror. Like, I think she had some form of jackal or Satan spawn in her. But she was like, she never got sick, you know, like a cold here and there. She ate vegetables. She ate. Jamie, like, loved making, like, little meals for her, everything healthy. She slept. You know, it was just, she was like, you know, she was a pain in the ass. She was a fucking kid. But she was an easy kid. She was fun. She was just like, she was my partner in crime. Hands down. We tortured Jamie together, you know, So it was 2021, you know, she was in second grade and, you know, she was like, kind of like, what was she? She was 7 turning 8. She turned 8. She was kind of being like a little bit of a pain in the butt, like, and stuff. She was complaining about her leg here and there. And like, we chalked it to like growing pains and stuff like that. And, you know, and so we're like, and then one night, it was like the first week of June, Jamie's like, I think we got to take Lucy to the doctor. She has this big bump on her left leg. And I look at him like, yeah, all right. So we go to the town over. They have like a pediatric urgent care. So we go there and it's still like the tail end of COVID. So only one of us can go in. Jamie goes in. The doctors look at it. They're like, oh, it's cellulitis or something. So they give us antibiotics.
Yeah,
I'm like,
right,
oh,
antibiotics.
okay. I'm like, I had cellulitis a bunch of times in the Marine Corps. That seems it's a swollen. So they chalk it out. I call the pediatrician, it's like a big place and there's multiple doctors there. And the nurse is like, well, you got to give it 3 days. So Jamie takes her like a week later and the doctor, she sees this doctor, and she's like, oh, I think you're going to have to take her to the emergency room. She's going to need IV antibiotics because the antibiotics, the size was still there. So we take her there and that's the first sign that something's up is we get there and they never did an x-ray at the urgent care. So the ER doctor comes in, this female, excellent, awesome doctor, and the nurse there were excellent. The nurse is like, we're going to put in for an ultrasound too and everything. The ER doctor knew it was up. She didn't say anything. We were about 4 or 5 hours there. And she's like, you guys need to get an MRI. Do we need one now? She's like, the problem is it's like Friday night. Now it's Saturday morning at like 12:05 or something. It's like, no, you need it sooner than later, but it's not like a super rush. Should have really did it. So then she gives us a prescription. We call the next day and I was on TRICARE, the military insurance, and we give it to the place and they're like, fucking U.S. health system. But there's also awesome side to it. Like, oh, you have the wrong code. I'm like, motherfucker. So I have to call the doctor, call the pediatrician again. I go there like two or 3 days later. We see a different doctor there. The one Jamie saw on Friday was a female doctor. We see this male doctor and he knew something was up. I get the thing for the MRI, make an appointment. At this point, it's 2021. My dad's been retired for a few years now. He was a gastroenterologist and, he was a doctor for almost 50 years, probably 50 years or something. I'm talking to him and the pediatrician place gave us like, oh, you should probably take a look, see about some orthopedic. Go see an orthopedic doctor. So I'm on the phone with my dad. And you'll understand where I learned my swearing attributes from. And he's like, so what did they say? Like, well, Jamie took him to the doctor on Friday. And then they said go to the emergency room. He goes, what? What the fuck? What stupid motherfucker? My dad starts going off and shit. And he he hadn't seen Lucy at this point since she had the thing. So he's like, all right, you know what? He hangs up, calls me back. He's like, and I had a list. He goes, go to this guy in Ridgewood, Dr. Avella. He goes, I used to work with him at St. Joe's and he knows. So I think we had to go the next week. I think Father's Day was that Sunday. We went over there and my dad tells me like months later, he's like, yeah, when I saw her bump, I knew she had cancer. I knew she had something. So then we go to the orthopedic doctor and, he's like, you guys have your MRI Wednesday. And that was Wednesday the 23rd. He goes, I'll call that day. But he called he's like, oh, how's your dad? I haven't talked to him. So he gave him my dad's number. Find out later that, my dad, he's like, yeah, he's like, Charles, I think it's cancer. I looked at it and I could tell from her walking and stuff. My dad told me this, after everything.
Yeah. Right.
We take her to the MRI and we have to get it with contrast. This is where the Satan spawn comes. She did not like the IV, which, she's 8 years old at the time. And I remember
like it now.
Yeah. Jamie comes out. She's like, can you come in and help? I'm a little worried because the MRI technician, you guys have all had MRI. So they usually know what's going on, but they can read it, but they're not like authorized to tell you.
Right.
So she's like, we really need to get this done. So we get it done and everything like that. Jamie's worried. We're at the park right by our house. We don't go to the park anymore. Either Jamie or I don't like going to it anymore. Jamie's pushing her on the swing. It's like 6:30. It's June 23rd. The doctor tried to call Jamie, but her fucking voicemail was full. I yelled at her at that later on. But he called my dad to get my number. And then he calls me and he's like, yeah, it's cancer. He goes, it's a sarcoma. I don't know what type it is. I'm like, fuck. He's like, all right, what I'm going to do is, because he talked to my dad for a while before he called me. It's like, I talked to the father already. I already called an orthopedic oncologist out of Morristown. This guy, Dr. James Whittick. He's like, your dad used to send patients to him. This guy's like legit, the goddamn Da Vinci of orthopedic surgery, oncology. So He's like, you're going to go tomorrow to them. They're going to call you. You're going to go. They need to do a biopsy, all this stuff. So Dr. Wittick's cousin calls, but she's like the nurse coordinator for the office. So we go, next day, we go to the 24th. He looked at it and he's like, I need to do a biopsy. He goes, I can do it right here. And Lucy's like, no. Lucy's like flipping. And she's nervous. I mean, she's 8 years old.
Right.
So we absolutely made her that night. So they can put her under the next day for the biopsy. So Jamie comes, spends the night. Jamie calls me texts me at 5:30 in the morning. They're going to do it in a little bit. I get in the car and this is good having a badge. If I can take off, it's 35, 40 minutes away. I think I get there in 20 minutes because I was hauling ass. They do the biopsy that day and they're like, it's Ewing sarcoma. I'm like, I mean, what the fuck? I mean, and going back to this is the thing where I'm like, I don't want to have a kid. What if they get cancer and die?
Yeah.
So
let me stop you right there. Sorry. What was that moment? Again, I'm listening to you explain the story. It sounds like this went really fast from being, this is my life. I'm doing this with my family. It's all great. Dad, my leg hurts. She has this it seems like it went real quick, bro.
Yeah, it was literally 23rd, we took her and I get a phone call that night and the world changed. The world legitimately changed.
How did that conversation go with you and Jamie? And Lucy, I guess, was it a family? How did you handle that?
So Lucy was on the swings. I talked to Jamie and I don't really remember. Jamie and I talked about it. And then I think we told Lucy that night or the next day. So I'll put in this, we told Lucy, we lied to her one lie during this whole thing. We told her everything that was going on with the chemo, and I'll get into it, the getting an expanding prosthetic, having her leg carved open and getting a titanium thing, a bolt aluminum put into her leg, everything, and the whole thing from the time that June 23rd to April 2nd, June 23rd, 2021 to April 2nd, 2023, when she died was 22 months. And she was on chemo the whole time during that. She did 5 different types of rounds of different types of chemo. And we never lied to her. The only time we lied to her is when she asked us, towards the end, am I going to die? And we said, no. And, she asked us literally the morning of that, when she's laying in her bed and she said, Mommy, am I going to die? And, Jamie's like, no, we're going to make you better. And we knew what was going to happen. The hospice nurse was there. I'll get into that later. So we told her everything. She's 8 at this time. She didn't really understand it. So we meet the oncologist and the nurse practitioner love the oncologist. I would, if something ever happened to her, I would murder whoever did it. I would take an axe and go through a crowd to destroy them. She's young. She's in her late 30s. And I was joking with her and, she went to Cornell, her undergrad. I forgot where she went to medical school. She's she's super nice, super fucking smart. The NP there with her Anne Marie, everybody there was awesome. And I was joking with her and I was looking at her ID. I'm like, are you sure you're a doctor? I go, I'm looking at this photo. It looks like you're going out drinking in Hoboken later on. You look 21, joking around. And people, this is a funny thing that we had. Because we got a lot of, not shit, but a lot of people were there's CHOP in Philadelphia, which is Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, which is a very big hospital here. And then MSK, Memorial Sloan Kettering. They're big, CHOP's big children for cancer and MSK is big for cancer. People are oh, are you going to MSK or are you going to CHOP? I'm like, no, we're going to fucking Morristown. My dad told me this doctor's really good. These people know what they're doing. I mean, Dr. Lori, who was the oncologist, I don't know. This is just the one level of her intelligence. She can pronounce all the chemos, which is first off is the big home. I can't pronounce any of them to this day. So, we start talking, we meet them and then, so you guys have to come in. We got to do, I think a CAT scan or we had to do a PET scan. We had to do a couple of those. So
let me ask you, Adam. Because you've thrown out the type of cancer Lucy had, but can you explain?
Okay,
I don't know.
So she had Ewing sarcoma, EWING. It's actually a very rare cancer.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to know.
2 to 300 kids maybe get it a year. And it's weird because it's predominantly in Caucasian kids get it. You know, it's funny because you learn these things with cancer because some cancers go towards an ethnicity group a little more. I just don't understand how it, and they don't really know much about it. Here's the thing that's frustrating. The last treatment for it was approved treatment for it was they figured it out during the Reagan administration. So that tells you how much how much thought really goes into pediatric cancer. And so this is where I'll get into it because so we do these scans and it's in her lungs too, they call it. They tell it's in her lungs. Now it's stage 4, but they don't use stages in kids. So, but it's already metastatic. Okay. And they're like, oh yeah, we can fight it. You know, I didn't look up anything about this cancer until after Lucy died. Jamie looked up a lot of stuff. I didn't want to look up anything.
Yeah.
I'm like,
tell me why. Why didn't you want to?
Because I wanted to keep optimism because I'm also like a realistic person. Because one of I'm like, I said the first time I met them, I'm like, do we have to start like talking about hospice or end of life care? They're like, no, we're not there. We don't think we're going to be there or anything like that. So, you know, so I just wanted to be prepared. And I'll go into ask me about the why I was so adamant about making sure hospice, we had that in a little bit. So, you know, so it's stage 4. So they have a protocol that they do for Ewing sarcoma. 14 treatments of chemo and then radiation. So it's 14 treatments. So it's, you know, the first one is like a 2-day. And then the next one, it's like every 3rd week, it's like a 7-day or a 6-day. So she had to stay, you know, we were living at the hospital during those times. And then in between that, she has to get surgery to remove the cancer on her bones. So that was November 9th, 2021. So she starts these treatments and stuff. So, you know, it just, your whole life changes. Yeah. It's like, you know, we had a camp that she was going to go to, and, you know, with it, we spent the summer going to the hospital, you know, and then I didn't go to work. Jamie didn't go to work. You know, we were very lucky, and I feel guilty to that. Like, I was lucky my job. I had sick time. My chief and captain at the time donated sick time. And then when the new chief came in, you know, he was like, because I remember when he was the lieutenant, did the scheduling, I gave him a letter from Dr. Laurie explaining Lucy's prognosis with cancer and what was going on and everything. And he goes to me, he's like, why are you giving me this? I go, LT, I'm doing this to be on the right side. He goes, is somebody giving you shit about it? I go, no, but I go, you know this place. Somebody will say something and somebody will do something. He's like, you're right. So I just want it to be like if somebody said, and I'll talk about it now. So when we found out that Lucy's cancer didn't go away in her lung in 2022, like literally her birthday, her 9th birthday, they told us, you know, she felt bad, Dr. Laurie calling us. And we were supposed to start radiation, but she started doing a different type of chemo. And I was going back to work a little bit here, but like, then I would just be like, I'm not fucking coming in tomorrow. I wouldn't come in, and I didn't call out and stuff. They knew what was going on. The leadership there knew what was going on. 2 of my fellow detectives told another detective, hey man, you got to tell Macaluso to call up and take his time because he's going to fuck us, because they didn't want to have to work the mid shift when they were on call 12 to 8, or they wanted to take time off so they can not come in or take overtime. I said to my buddy, and you know, he was the messenger. I go, you're fucking kidding me, right? I mean, I'm not going down the shore drinking. I'm sitting on the couch with my daughter or taking her to the fucking hospital for chemo. Okay. Or, you know, cleaning up her vomit, you know, after chemo. I mean, this is the brotherhood in blue. This is why I get fucking bent out of shape. Not everybody was like that, but these are 2 fellow detectives did this. So yeah, I'm still bitter. I'm not going to let this go. I'm sorry. Like, I'll die in this fucking hill.
Adam, let me interrupt you real quick, because during this time, Mo, just to tie some things together, Adam's going through all this with Lucy, and I have questions. I'll save them, but like, what was that?
No, you can ask whatever you want.
Well, no, I want to get through you know, you're going through this thing with your wife and your daughter, all of you. Adam still checked in on Vic and his wife, Elise, because they were going through their cancer around the same time period. Like, and
I felt fucking guilty because I couldn't.
Adam felt like he didn't do more, and Vic's like, Adam was one of the few people that actually reached out and checked in on me when a lot of his teammates and buddies did not. So, see what I'm saying? How Adam's like, I didn't do enough, and Vic's like, you're like the only one that did anything. So all this was happening at the same time.
Yeah, and then it's weird because this is the thing. Like when this is going on, you get like with some friends. Like I had dudes that I was in 1-7 with that I hadn't talked to at the time, like 20 years. When they found out, they're like, "Dude, what can I do for you?" Like,
Right.
and then like guys that I grew up with that were like fucking radio silent. Like I had one buddy, I'm not going to mention his name, like, and I think I talked about this, like, growing, like in my 20s, we had a house on the Jersey Shore, not fucking seaside like that stupid show. We had one in Manasquan, right? I'm in my early 20s and like my early to mid 20s. And then when I was in the Marine Corp, like going down the shore for two fucking reasons. One, to get as drunk as possible. And two, to try and fuck as many girls as I possibly can or hook up with as many as I can. Okay, that's it. I'm not going down there to fucking solve string theory and shit. Like, and I had friends, like some of my friends would be like, "Oh, you're so immature." I'm like, I'm fucking down the shore, bro. I'm drinking, like I'm trying to like hit on girls. All right. Yeah. But my one buddy was always like, "Oh, this and that." I remember he called me one time. He's like, so-and-so's in from California. We're going out to dinner an hour. I'm like, yeah, I can't make it, bro. I got to take Lucy to chemo tomorrow. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you talked about how you were all fucking high and mighty, like I was immature. Like, I'm in my fucking 20s down the shore. I don't give a shit. Like, yeah. I'm like, who gives a shit? But like now we're in our at the time, my kid has cancer, and you are like, you can't be like all Mr. Mature now and everything. You just go radio fucking silent. So
now, with that being said, though, you said you had some military buddies that would come through and treated Lucy like one of their own, or I can't remember how you described it.
My buddy Bill Lombardo, he's a colonel in the Marine Corps. He's a MARSOC guy. I went to
bad motherfucker, Mo.
Yeah, I went to TBS. I went to TBS and IOC with him. He's a Jersey guy. He prior enlisted, awesome guy, dude. He still texts me like we still talk, but he would text all the time. He would send packages. I'm looking at a picture, man. So bear with me. I want to show you a picture. I mean, always him and his wife, Steve, they would always, I'm not, you know me, man. I'm not religious one bit, and I'm not a fan of organized religion or anything, but Bill is always like, I'm praying for you. And he's one of the guys I know when he said that, it was truly coming from his fucking heart. I knew that it like, oh, damn, there was a picture. Shit. Sorry. Hold on. So my buddy, what day is this? This is February 28th. I'm not sure if you guys can see this. So.
Yep. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
That's Lucy. Yep. That's like the Marine Raider picture. My buddy Bill sent that, and he signed it. My first platoon commander in the Marine Corps he's probably a 2-star general, and I was a 1-star general at the time. Signed it and Lucy, that's still hanging on her door. Mm-hmm. He sent that, like she loved it. Loved like when Bill would send stuff like Lucy got because I mean, the kid had cancer. She was miserable. She was going through chemo. Yeah. She didn't want to really talk to people like she did and didn't, but people would stop by. She's like, I don't know who the fuck this person is. I don't but I, my two buddies that one I was a cop with and his brother's a cop. I'm looking for more pictures, even when she was sick and towards the end, she didn't really want to see her friends and stuff, but hold on, I'm trying to find this. Where is this? I apologize.
No, you're good.
You're fine.
Damn it. My buddies, Tommy and Matt, they're brothers, and they're both cops in Jersey, and they're great because they hate. Matt hates cops too, just like me. We're just annoyed. That's what it is, the backstabbing and shit like that. But Tommy or Matt would stop by, and Lucy would get this massive smile on her face. And she would always be happy to see them or to call them and stuff like that. She knew good people. The day Lucy died, I had 2 friends I grew up with stop by. I don't think they knew she died at the time because my brother-in-law called one of them and they stopped. They're like, so-and-so are out there. Do you want to? I'm like, nah, I don't want to see him. Then they had taken Lucy's body at this point, and I'm just sitting in a room, and then my sister-in-law Jen comes up and she's like, oh, there's 2 bald guys outside. I'm like, oh, send them up. That's Matt and Tommy. They came right over. As I texted them, I said, hey, I just want to give you a heads up. They came right over and they did it, and they were there. These guys were went above and beyond, man. I remember I had to go to the funeral home. I was going to pick up the death certificates, and Jamie was coming with me, and Tommy was over that day. He's like, I'll come with you. I'm like, no. He's like, no, I'll come with you. He came, and like I had to step outside crying and stuff like that. It was just like, he's just supportive, man. He's just an awesome fucking guy. And his brother, Matt always makes fun of me because he's like, oh, you're going to quit this job. You're going to quit this job. And then I'm like, Matt, you realize I'm retired. And part of it is like, I don't want to deal with it because of Lucy. He's like, oh, you got to be an asshole. Like joking around. It's like, you got to be an asshole and throw that at me and shit.
Yeah.
But that's like, so, all right. So we'll go back. So, it's weird because, we told Lucy she's going to lose her hair and everything like that. She was like upset initially. Like I took her into the city to get a wig. And that was like the first time I'd been in New York City in a while at that point. And I remember I'm like, fucking smells like piss and pot here. God, Jesus Christ. So we get her a wig and she never wears them. She never wore them, which is fine. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And the guy was like, I remember the guy doing his wigs. And he's like, he goes, if I don't mind, if you don't mind me asking, I'm like, what's wrong? I'm like, oh, she has cancer, this and that. Like, it was very nice. The guy was great. She lost her hair. And I remember like she had like this bouffant of her hair was held on by a few strings of her hair, like her hair. I'm like, Lucy, we gotta take this off. But she's like, it's itching. I'm like, you gotta let me. So I get it. I go, Lucy, do you want me to shave my head too? She's like, no. She didn't want me to shave my head. Like I said, I'll shave my head. I don't give a shit. She didn't want to. She got a little embarrassed once in a while with her hair, but for the most part, she didn't care. Like the second time, because her hair grew back and I'll go to something you brought up, Tyler. Her hair grew back and then it came out again. And she's like, I don't want to lose my hair. But she's like, literally, she goes, I don't want to lose my hair. She's like, well, but you talked about like the feeling. It was like, you always hear the story, you get these pits in your stomach. And I remember it was September of 2022 and Jamie looked, we had a CAT scan done and she looked and it said like, it's growing, the lungs, it's growing. And like, it was just like a twisting of your stomach, not your guts.
Yeah.
It felt like the stomach. And that's like the time where I'm like, I don't think she's going to survive. This is like, this has been going on for a little over a year. I'm like, I don't think she's going to survive. And we go back.
Did you and Jamie have a conversation at that point, or was this just something internally that you thought to yourself and you held on to?
We talked about it a little bit here and there. Like, we actually we always had a good marriage before. It was even a better marriage during and after. I think I hear her upstairs listening. She's walking. So I remember like a month later. It was around a month later. That's where the first hit with the $11,000 cat. We had gotten this third cat, Jacob, that she named. I don't know where he went.
He's hiding.
So there was something wrong with him. I grew up with cats, so I knew. And we ended up having to go to a special vet. And
No. Hold on, Adam. Hold on.
You got to tell.
You got to tell the story. Hold on. Well, I'll start you because you were like, hey, do you want to meet my $11,000 cat? And I'm like, what is this? Some sort of, and I'm like, one, that's ridiculous. Two, it was some special breed. He's like, no, it's a barn cat.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell my version. Yeah, you tell. Let me tell my version, and then you clean it up.
Because, I also have a version.
Yeah. Because I was like, "What, dude?" And then you explain. Lucy wanted a cat, and you go to this barn, you pick out a kitten or whatever, and you're like, "Great." And then you realize it's got some problem. You take it to the vet. They're like, "Hey, it has this rare disease, whatever the fuck it is."
Wet FIP.
There you go. And the only thing is a experimental drug from Wuhan, China.
No, it wasn't experimental.
Oh, okay. Well, it wasn't in the U.S. I call it experimental. It's not the U.S.
Yeah. So
and it's in Wuhan, bro.
I don't think it was Wuhan. Maybe.
Well, I'm going to say it was.
It was in the process of getting approved in the United States. Then the COVID happened. But part of it was there's like variants of coronavirus in it. So it wasn't. So
Adam has to go like deep dive black site Facebook. Like, hey, can somebody help me coordinate this?
Yeah,
meet me in the back of CVS.
The vet does it. The vet tells me, he's like, well, he goes, listen, this is terminal, but there's a Facebook group that you should join, and they can get you medication from China. Like he recommends.
This is for a cat, bro. But
this is illegal. Sure.
So I go to so Reddy spent like $2,200 that day because he had to get a fucking ultrasound. And this is the thing is I remember like Lucy's like, I don't want him to die. I'm like, oh, that's Kenzie.
Well, see, hold on, because you said when the doc said he has this thing, and you're like, Lucy, I don't know. You're like, I don't want him to die too. I was like, well, you got to drop 20 grand, bro. That's what you got to do.
But the thing is, you know what? The thing is I go, when she said, I don't want him to die, I'm like, oh, Lucy's not going to die. But I said to myself, literally at the time, I'm like, but here I am, I'm going to spend this money to save this cat and I can't save my daughter. You're going to die. So I said it to myself. So we get on this Facebook group and I ended up having to go like on the black market, like meet people, like places to get this. And I had to give him a shot, 84 days and he's fine. Wow. So I ended up spending like $6,000 on that, like with the ultrasound thing and buying medication and everything. And then, summer of 24, I'm like, Jamie, you need to take him to the vet. Something's wrong with him. And she's like, oh, all right. Because I had a duty that day for Treasury. So I had to go into the city and she's like, I'm taking him to the vet because he just peed blood. She takes him to the emergency room vet. He's got like a bladder infection. That's $5,000. It saved him. But I'm like, Jesus Christ, Jacob. I'm like, you got to fucking stop, motherfucker.
Yeah. Now the cat's living his best life, by the way.
Yeah, he's living his best life.
Now he's now he's like 400 pounds. And he's like, if he doesn't get fed right away, he's like, you haven't fed me in years,
Yeah.
So, but like,
I can't believe you're treating me like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, so that was the third cat. We had a cat we got before Lucy got sick. And then my sister tells a bit about this black and white cat in November of 2021 and Lucy's scheduled for surgery. So I go look at it and Jamie's like, don't come home with a cat. I'm like, all right, we're on our way home. Come home with this cat. She's like, because I was trying to tell Lucy, I'm like, well, Lucy, you got surgery coming. She's like, and she was crying. I'm like, fuck it. We'll just get the goddamn cat. So now we have that one. That's Miss Baker, that cat is on its own.
You have cats
program.
with human names, bro.
Yeah.
We have Mackenzie, we have Miss Baker, and Jacob.
Those are all
I don't know why
names.
Lucy came up with the name Jacob. I don't know.
You got to keep it.
It goes. Yeah.
There comes this point where you realize I don't know if she's going to make it. And
I want to go back before we go to
Let's go back then.
Okay.
Tell me.
Right.
She starts the initial chemo and, so Jamie and I like tag team at the hospital, I mean, Lucy's miserable, but she's really like, she really is good. Like she's really strong, but like she has to stay there like from Monday to Saturday at times. And, so Jamie and I tag team, each of us going, spending a night, then the next one comes, like we both didn't stay the whole time. Because like you, like as a caregiver, you gotta recharge. And people don't realize like being a caregiver is a fucking nightmare, man. But I mean, it's nothing compared to what Lucy went through, but it's like emotionally, like, dude, I was like 228 pounds. I'm like 195 pounds now. I was like massive. Like I didn't realize it. I should have realized because my pants were all tight at the time. But
but let me interject there. You said being a caregiver, but I think being a caregiver parent is on a whole different level because I feel like I was a caregiver for my great aunt. It was exhausting, but I don't think it's the level of emotional exhaustion that a father has when he's taking care of his daughter in this situation.
I mean, the only saving grace during this whole thing is Jamie, is being married to Jamie. That's the truth of the matter. That's the only saving grace. I mean, I always told the doctors and nurses, I'm like, we loved taking her to the hospital for treatments, like, because we like seeing them. The people were great. Like I said, I love meeting you all, but this sucks how we met you. But let me go back. So she starts these initial treatments, and it's like, she has to get the one cancer, doxycycline, I think. No, it's doxy, but it's called the Red Death because it looks red. And you only can give it a certain number of times to a person, and that's it. You can't, especially with kids. So she's getting this chemo. Her hair is losing it. And then like the universe is like, well, you know what? I want to fuck you over even more. So then she has to get limb replacement surgery. So she has to get this expanding prosthetic put into her leg. Okay, they go in, they cut part of the tibia, part of the fibia out, take the knee, put this thing in that if she survived, would grow with her. She would have to go get magnets, and it would be like it's pretty fucking cool. It was heavy because I got to lift it in the operating room when I brought her in. So we have that. So November, these are things that like a dad or a parent should not know, but I do. November 9th was the last day my daughter walked normal with all her appendages, and then the next time she walked, she had her. It was an internal, like it wasn't like a prosthetic where they cut her leg off. It was an internal prosthetic. It was an expanding prosthetic. Pretty amazing fucking surgery. They said 6 hours. They did it in 5. but you're sitting there in the thing. And it's like, I remember like, I didn't sleep. So I stayed November 9th with the surgery. I told Jim I would stay. I didn't sleep, because, she like, and this is like, these are like things that like people don't understand too. Like your kid's sick and cancer. Then like, my kid's getting morphine. My kid has a pump, the drip for the pain. Then when she gets released, I got to go get Oxycontin and oxycodone, and then I got to be lectured by the pharmacist. And I remember going to the one pharmacist. I'm like, I go, look at the fucking date. Like, I didn't say fuck because they were really nice. I go, yes. I go, it's an 8-year-old kid. I go, believe me, I know tons about Oxy. I go, I'm a cop. I've investigated all the overdoses with this. But there's no way in hell that I'm letting my daughter get addicted to this. It's brutal. You have to get the stuff for your 8-year-old kid time.
Yeah.